There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you realize the 7 things quietly stealing your remaining years aren't the things you feared when you were younger. They're not the dramatic tragedies, not the obvious mistakes. They're subtle, familiar, even socially acceptable. And by the time most people recognize them, they've already traded away a decade, sometimes more, carrying weight they were never meant to carry. I'm 83 years old. My name is Mary. And if I could go back to 65, to that first morning of retirement, to the years when my husband Richard was still alive, to the time when I believed the hardest part of life was behind me, I wouldn't ease into change. I wouldn't take it slow. I would eliminate 7 things immediately, ruthlessly. Because between 65 and 83, I carried things that made me smaller, quieter, more cautious than I needed to be. Things that drained my energy, narrowed my world, and took time I will never get back. And what unsettles me most is this. I still see people doing the exact same thing at 55, at 60, at 70, carrying it all like it's normal. It isn't normal. It's theft. And if you're willing to hear it, I'll tell you exactly what's being taken from you and how to stop it before it costs you more than it already has. The first thing I would eliminate is maintaining relationships that stopped being real a long time ago. At 65, I had what looked like a full life. My calendar said I was connected. My mailbox said I was remembered. But none of it was real. I had dozens of relationships. Church groups, old co-workers, neighbors from homes we'd lived in decades ago. Women I'd known so long I couldn't even remember how we met. I kept them all alive. Birthday cards, holiday cards, lunches that felt like obligations, conversations that never went deeper than surface level updates. And I told myself that's what connection looks like. But one afternoon changed everything. I sat at a long restaurant table with women I'd known for 30 years. We talked about grandchildren, houses, trips, money, achievements. Everyone took turns sharing something polished, something presentable. And I realized I couldn't say a single real thing. Not about what I was thinking, not about what I was feeling, not about what actually mattered to me. So I performed, just like everyone else. And I went home exhausted, not physically, but emotionally, like I'd spent 3 hours pretending to exist. I kept doing that for years, until one December, writing Christmas cards, I asked myself a question that changed everything. If these people wrote back, whose letter would I actually want to read? Out of more than 80 names, 7. 7 people I genuinely cared about. 7 people who knew me or wanted to. That year, I stopped pretending. I let the rest go, and something surprising happened. I didn't become lonely. I became lighter, more present, more real. Because connection isn't about quantity, it's about truth. The second thing I would eliminate is waiting to spend money on the life it was meant to create. Richard and I did everything right. We saved, planned, prepared. We built security, but we treated time like it was guaranteed and money like it was scarce. Richard wanted to travel, not someday, now. He wanted Italy, Ireland, national parks, places he'd dreamed about for decades. And every time he brought it up, I said, let's wait. Let's be responsible. Let's be safe. Let's make sure we're fully secure first. And the truth is, I wasn't being responsible. I was being afraid. Afraid of needing money later. Afraid of uncertainty. Afraid of losing control. So we waited. And then time did what time always does. It moved forward. His health changed, slowly at first. Then suddenly, and one morning, at 75, he was gone. And all that money we protected so carefully, it stayed. But the life it was supposed to fund, that disappeared with him. Money is a tool. Time is the opportunity. And if you protect the tool more than the opportunity, you lose both. The third thing I would eliminate is eating like my body never changed. At 65, I was still living like I was 40. Same portions, same habits, same idea that food was comfort, reward, routine. But my body wasn't the same, and it told me, quietly at first, less energy, more aches, weight that stayed no matter what I did. So I did what most people do. I medicated the symptoms, blood pressure pills, cholesterol pills, something for sleep, something for digestion. By 70, I had a routine built around managing discomfort instead of preventing it, and I didn't question it until one morning, standing in my kitchen, I looked at my breakfast and my pills, and I realized something unsettling. I was taking more to manage my body than I was given to support it, and yet I still didn't change, not until much later, and I regret that deeply, because energy isn't just physical. It's how alive you feel in your own life, and I spent years feeling half present when I didn't have to. The fourth thing I would eliminate is talking when I should have been listening. I thought I was being helpful. That's the truth. I believe my experience gave me something valuable to offer. So when my children came to me, I gave advice, immediately, constantly, without pause, without asking what they needed, and over time, something shifted. They stopped sharing. Not all at once, just gradually. Conversations became shorter, shallower, safer. And I told myself it was normal, until one day my daughter said something that stayed with me. You don't listen. You just wait to tell us what to do. And she was right. I wasn't connecting. I was correcting. And in doing that, I created distance, because people don't need constant guidance. They need to feel heard, seen, respected. And I learned that too late. The fifth thing I would eliminate is the habit of sitting through life. Retirement felt like permission to rest, so I rested. A lot. Chairs became my default. Movement became optional, and slowly, without noticing, my body adapted to stillness. Stairs became harder, balance less reliable, strength quietly disappeared. Until one day, I fell. Nothing dramatic, but enough to scare me, because my body didn't respond the way it used to. And that's when I understood something important. What you don't use, you lose. Movement isn't about fitness. It's about independence. And I traded years of strength for comfort I didn't actually need. The sixth thing I would eliminate is letting numbers define how I felt about my life. At some point, I became obsessed with measurements, blood pressure, cholesterol, levels, ranges, and I let those numbers decide how I felt, even when I physically felt fine. I chased perfect, more medications, more monitoring, more worry. But perfect isn't the goal. Living is. And I lost years feeling like something was wrong, when in reality, I just wasn't 30 anymore. Aging isn't failure, it's change. And fighting it at every step makes life smaller, not safer. The seventh and most important thing I would eliminate is comparison, because comparison is invisible but devastating. I spent years measuring my life against other people's highlights, their travels, their families, their achievements, and no matter what I had, it felt like less. Until one morning, years later, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee. Nothing special, no audience, no milestone, just a quiet moment, and I realized I was completely content, not because my life looked impressive, but because it felt real. And for the first time, I wasn't comparing it to anything. That's when it clicked. A good life doesn't need to be validated. It needs to be lived. I can't go back to 65. I can't undo the years I spent carrying what I didn't need. But I can tell you this. Most of what weighs you down right now is optional. It feels permanent. It feels necessary. But it isn't. And the longer you wait to let it go, the more it costs you. Not in money. Not in status. In time. In energy. In presence. So if you take anything from this, let it be simple. Don't wait for a crisis to make you change. Don't wait for loss to teach you what matters. And don't assume you have time to figure it out later, because later has a way of disappearing. I'm still here, still learning, still letting go of what I no longer need, and still grateful for every moment I stopped carrying what was never mine to begin with. Take care of yourself. Not someday. Now.